What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dogs Down South. It's Monday night, Thanksgiving week, hate week, Georgia Tech week. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, X. We're also live on TikTok right now. Welcome everyone on TikTok that's joining for tonight's show. We are, so much. There is so much to talk about. I mean, we got an hour, but I don't know if we'll get it all in. Obviously going to recap a little Umass game from last week, as well as look at Georgia Tech, interstate rivalry, whatever you want to call it, man. It used to be no rivalry. Maybe it's coming back. Who knows? We're going to look at college football playoff stuff. As you know, the rankings come out tomorrow night, and man, is there going to be a lot of changes. We're going to discuss. I guess we're going to discuss some SEC championship stuff tonight. I don't know. We kind of backslided into this one, so we'll figure out what that's about tonight. And we get to pick every rivalry game. Rivalry weekend is always so fun. Even though this past weekend was crazy, this one could be even crazier. So I'm going to add the guys on. Let's see. What's up, Richman? How are you, buddy?
Hey, man.
Fish. There you are, Fish. How are you, buddy?
What's up, man? Doing great.
Welcome on this crisp Monday evening in Florida. Maybe 61 degrees, but we've gotten into the 50s. Weather in Georgia. What are we doing up in Georgia right now?
No, we hit the high 40s over the weekend.
Okay, that's in kind of southeast Georgia. What about up north, Richman?
Dude, it was chilly Saturday up in Dalton at the ballpark.
Ooh, that was even more north.
15-mile-an-hour winds.
Yep. Yeah, it was windy. Gusty.
Wild. Welcome, everyone, joining on Dogs Down South. Also on TikTok tonight. He hit 400 and some odd viewers last week on TikTok. So if you are on TikTok right now, want to join, if you haven't done so, go follow us on YouTube as well. If you want to go from TikTok, hop over to YouTube and follow us over there, trying to get to 1,000 followers. We're talking all things Georgia football tonight. Guys, let's hop right in. Umass. I know we don't have too much to really talk about. I think we can just hit some quick recap stuff. I think the number one thing, if I know, Richman, you caught highlights. You were kind of on the road. Fish, you saw a little bit of it. We're all texting back and forth. I mean, run defense. I mean, I know Kirby post game kind of said, he kind of mirrored the fact of what in the heck were we doing, run defense wise. We gave up over 200 yards rushing. But was it UMass? I mean, UMass does that, right? They run the ball. They ran the ball, 40 something times in the first half alone last week when they played Liberty. Did we just not? I mean, I'll give it to you guys. Do you think we just played down to our opponent? That's what UMass does.
We got a history of that.
Yeah, we do.
No effort.
Yeah, I was just going to say, or was it just? I mean, we didn't tackle well.
We tackled like crap.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
That first quarter was terrible.
Yeah, I agree, man. I looked at it at two different sides. We did play a lot of second, third string throughout the entire game. It wasn't one of those, get up real big and then insert the backups. Now, we didn't see the backups until like the last 7 minutes of the game. But there were hints of, second, third string players in from the middle of the first quarter, on. Mm-hmm. So got to see a lot of new faces, especially at the running back position. We finally saw Dwight Phillips, Jr. I mean, he touched the ball a couple times. I saw Chauncey Bowens again. Mm-hmm. I think Frazier looked great, over 140 yards rushing. I mean, I think Frazier's looking great. We ran the ball at will. We threw the ball whenever we wanted to. We did whatever we want to on offense, pretty much. Defense, you just kind of look at it and go, man, I just don't think we tackled real well, And UMass we're going to get everybody's best game, right? I told Richman, it reminds me of the old days when we used to get ready to play Tech, right? They got this triple option thing going on, and it's like, you're going to give up. Nobody's going to look the same as they do against every other team against the Tech, because Tech runs the ball. Like, they practice running the ball and how they're going to run the ball every single practice. Whereas
let's don't go there, man. Notre Dame blew Army apart.
I agree.
Speed rules, and we
I
have
agree.
the speed over UMass. What we didn't have is 4 and 5-star kids with pockets full of money show up Saturday that wanted to kick some butt. That's what
Yeah.
we.
No, I mean, well said. But I will tell you that when you look at UMass, man, that's what they do. And so the passing game for them wasn't too much to really harp about. The only offense they had was that 220 yards on the running attack. So, but I mean, when you look at the total pieces of the game, I think you look at it and go, it's a win. You know, injury wise, I think the thing that hurt more than the 220 rushing yards was Christian Miller. We're wondering. I mean, I think Kirby was very nonchalant today about his injury. So I really don't know what's going on with that. I know that he did say that it was good to go. It didn't need surgery. Didn't kind of, he was just going to kind of figure it out. I mean, it wouldn't be put past me if he just didn't have a club on it right this week. Just club it up and go ahead. However, the only thing that's weird is it is a shoulder kind of with it. It's kind of the arm shoulder type thing. So I don't know. But I know the biggest thing is we're out of UMass. It's a win. It was impressive enough because I don't even think with all the losses in the SEC, nobody even batted an eye towards UMass and Georgia. Like
nobody.
59-21, nobody really looked over that way. I don't think the committee's looking that way at all because of the fact that, and we're supposed to discuss it, all these upsets, man. You got Ole Miss going to Florida. I think we all called this, right?
Yes,
we all
sir.
said 12 o'clock game, Lagway.
Trap
Ole
game.
Miss sleeping. And then we kind of said we feel like this one's tilting a little bit towards them. Did you watch that, Fish? Did you watch that game?
Oh yeah.
What'd you think what'd you think about Florida?
I'm glad we played them when we did now.
Right.
I'm glad we played them in neutral site.
Yeah. Glad we didn't play them in the swamp.
And I'm also glad I don't want anybody to get hurt. Don't take this the wrong way. But, Lagway getting hurt helped us out, man. I think that was one of those games that we could have lost, but things happened and we got the win, which, you need games like that throughout the season. That's true. Right. But, that Florida, I don't know, man. Billy Napier's got them rallied, man. Like they're fired up. You don't want to play them or South Carolina right now, I don't think.
They're going to be something next year.
Yeah, 100%.
Lagway's a Heisman candidate next year, guarantee.
That's big. And I might agree with you on that. I mean,
that's fair.
I don't know. I mean,
we're not a finalist, maybe. I don't know about a finalist, but definitely a candidate.
Well, I'll throw this out here for you. There's a rumor has it that Carson Beck is not possibly set on going pro this year. There's some rumor flying that he may be interested in getting a second Lamborghini. And no, I'm playing. But there is rumor going around that, depending on where he looks at going draft stock wise, this might not be the year for him. He could use another year. I don't know if that would be good for Georgia or not. I mean, I don't care what you say, man. I mean, if Carson Beck is here, he's Georgia's quarterback. I mean, I still have confidence in Carson. I still think Carson Beck can lead this team to national championship.
Let me ask you a question. If Carson Beck has linemen that can block for him and he has receivers that don't drop balls, what
he's
do we
a different quarterback. He's a different
first round pick.
You
give me Carson Beck with all these 5-star receivers we're fixing to sign, and all these these linemen that Richman talked about, these sophomores coming through that are going to have more experience now.
Yep.
And these tight ends. I mean, man, I'm so excited for Elias Williams, man. Another 6'7" monster to throw to, right? I'll take Carson Beck with all these young receivers. I mean, it would not be a bad thing for him because a lot of people are saying he slid to late first, maybe late second. I would say if he's going to go third, he's going to get more money NIL wise, and he's going to get more money on a signing bonus if he stays and goes first round next year, maybe. Because next year's not a quarterback heavy draft.
I hope Gunner transfers to Stanford.
Carson Beck stays next year.
I don't want to play him next year.
So you say, so before I move on, Richman, if Carson said tomorrow I'm coming back, like what's your reaction?
Attaboy.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Let's go.
I'm good with it.
Dude, if Carson Beck said I'm coming back next year, I'm fired up. And I'll tell you why. It's because next year's SEC is not good for quarterbacks, man. There's a lot of I mean, you got Milrow leaving. You got, and we don't know what the portal looks like, but you got Quinn Ewers leaving. You got who else? You got Lagway stepping in. It was Mertz.
Jackson Dart's gone.
You got Jackson Dart leaving. You got Nessmeyer leaving. You got.
Yep.
I mean, dude, you can go down the. I mean, Arkansas, Thorne. I mean, everybody's quarterbacks pretty much. See you later. I mean, there's not many quarterbacks left next year. Carson Beck would be. They thought he was this year, but he would automatically come in next year as the number one quarterback in the SEC. So my thing is if it doesn't work out that you think your draft stock's gonna be second or third, at least third, stay and do one more year and benefit yourself. Who knows that?
I think if we get a natty and an SEC championship, he'll go.
That might be.
Yeah, that might be.
That'd be a good note to
wrap up. If we do that,
I think you're right. If he gets a natty, he'd probably go because that's going to raise his draft stock too.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep.
If not, I would. If he wanted to hang around, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, me too.
If you do if he has complimentary play, he's going to make this team a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Because then it doesn't get in his head, and that's been his biggest problem. I think, like he just gets he just gets rattled. Yeah. He has to do too much. It's a lot of pressure on a kid, man.
And you give us 6, possibly 7 home games next year with Carson Beck at the helm. I mean, we get Texas at home next year. We get Alabama at home next year. We get Ole Miss at home with Carson Beck and home games. Like, we're fixing to talk about it, but we just we didn't really backslide. I mean, if you look at the SEC and what's been going on, but I guess the word we'll use for it tonight is we landed the plane in the SEC championship game on a year where you look at the schedule and you go, if I would have told you guys we were looking at making the playoffs, right? If I would have told you guys we went to Texas, to Ole Miss, to Alabama, to Kentucky, neutral site Florida, and you look at all this surrounding all this. Oh, by the way, in neutral site versus Clemson, and I would say we're going to probably only drop 1 or 2 and still end up in the SEC championship game with no divisions, no East-West. Would you guys have believed that?
Huh.
No,
I wouldn't have believed it. Not with Texas and Oklahoma entering in on top of Alabama. That Alabama was talked up really high. I mean, I thought about next week when we preview the SEC championship to go back to week 1 and look at kind of what we talked about and how we saw the SEC finishing and what we said to see if it actually matched up. But I would not have told you. I would have said we would have maybe been in the playoffs, but I would have probably thought with all these road games that maybe like an Alabama, a Texas, I think I did pick us to be in the SEC championship game, but we knew it was going to be extremely tough. But obviously we talked about Ole Miss losing. And then we saw a 7:00 game where I think Richman stirred the chat up and he said, Bama. So what if Bama loses, where do we go? What are we doing? And I'm like, wait a minute. Bama's losing? And I turned it on and I almost turned it back off because I'm notorious for turning the game on and it started to go back the other direction.
Me too.
Then it just kept going, man. And I'm like, okay, so here goes Bama. They fall. They have 3 losses.
Yeah.
And then the 4-quarter OT, which Fish, did you not pick this? You picked Auburn, right?
Yeah.
You picked Auburn and Jordan Hare, and me and Richman were on the phone a little bit. But dude, Hugh Freeze pulls it off, man.
I'm sorry about that, guys. I just couldn't touch my phone. I was like, that's part of my superstition.
Right.
So I couldn't talk about it. My wife was like, no. So I had to leave it alone. She's a big Auburn fan.
Way, man. I'm exact same.
That's funny.
So that basically, so here we are now, and Kirby said it in the presser. Kirby was very, very fine-tuned about this. We were, Chip Towers. Guys, you guys know who Chip Towers is. I don't like Chip Towers. Nope. I think he asked the dumbest questions in the world to Kirby just because it gets a little bit of rise out of Kirby. But today, he asked him about the SEC championship game preparation, and Kirby literally looked at Chip and was like, "We don't even know who we're playing. Like, what would you like us to prepare for? We don't know who we're playing right now. We're playing Georgia Tech, right?" And I was so thankful because, when Kirby said we're preparing for Georgia Tech this week, he didn't have the fumble like Elko did, where he said we're preparing for Texas. I mean, we're preparing for
laser focused
Auburn
on
this year.
Auburn.
He was on it, man. I think you know, we got to work yesterday. We're a day behind. So Sunday was Monday for us. So he sounded really pumped, man. But before we hop into these SEC and these crazy, let's look at maybe what the committee may say tomorrow night. Here's a couple of scenarios I want to throw out to you guys that I heard in Kirby's presser today, and I want to see what you guys think about this. Number one, I'm gonna ask you first, Fish, because you watched most of the game. Did you see two guys, running backs on the sideline that could possibly be back for this Georgia Tech game that were dressed out Saturday? They both had the last name Robinson, man.
Yep. Yeah,
I
saw
saw
that.
Branson dressed, and I saw the other one that's really appealing is Rod Robinson.
How does turf toe keep you out all year, man?
I read up on turf toe, man. Have you guys ever had turf toe?
I've had
No,
it.
I never have. I'm sure it's probably bad. It must be.
It sounds dumber than it really is, though. Like, apparently it does deal with your toe, but it deals with having to. It is crazy painful to put pressure on it, and those nerves coming from the biggest toe you have kind of spread out throughout your entire foot.
Think about this: you push off with your toe when you walk or run. Yeah. You push off with your big toe, and dude, when that thing gets messed up,
but man, I think he did say Branson was a little bit more ahead.
Yeah,
but I think
that's good.
I think that means, for me, we could see a little bit more stronger, strengthened backfield by the SEC championship now.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's huge, man. That's huge. To be able to gain a Rod Robinson, to be able to gain a Branson, to be able to maybe get Trevor back. That's the one that I'm not hearing a lot about. It's very sketchy on what's going on with him. But
I'm hoping he's just keeping that under wraps and Trevor's getting better.
Right. I'm hoping it's just not bringing it up because why in the world does he need to why does he need to hop in there against UMass? You know, that's not. I mean, Frazier ran for 140 and Frazier's looking more and more deadly. Like, he's going to be really great for us, I think, as we get into the SEC championship in the playoffs. But
next year he's going to be
next year. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. He's so aggressive, man. Yep. He reminds me, and I hate doing the reminders, but
let
me get y'all's first. Does he remind you of anybody, a back for us? Anybody? Who would you say first, Fish?
No, Sean.
No, okay.
He hits the hole like No Sean, man. He's
hard.
We're
he runs hard.
No Sean Moreno to me. I think he's very elusive. It's just wild.
Yeah.
It's just really wild coming through the hole, man, and it's a lot behind it. So good, man. So good. He's learning. He's learning a little bit about also too. Trevor, I think, is teaching him a lot. You can see he's progressed. He used to just be hey, here's the hole, but now he's starting to kind of do a little look in. He's kind of looking to see, you know, where he can kind of fit in some of these things. It just takes time. He's a freshman, but you know, Kirby talks so much about how he played for, you know, Mater Dei out at California and how they, you know, they play a lot of tough teams. So he was ready. It's kind of like Georgia when you step into the NFL. He was ready coming out of high school into college to be on that stage. And I like what Nate's doing, but it was really cool to see them both dressed out. And it was cool to see him positively talking about both of them. We desperately need that depth at running back. And I did hear good things about Dylan Bell. I heard, I usually don't hear this from Kirby, but I heard that we should see him against Tech.
Yeah.
And I heard that we should, in some form of capacity, see Micah Morris. And he mentioned, there was one other person he mentioned, Dylan, and he thought Christian was going to be okay, at least to play. So that was good news. What do you guys think about this? So where do we think I got a little diagram here I'll throw up of where we were at. So this is where we were at 5 days ago. So we were thinking BYU was going to come in and win the Big 12 and come in behind Boise. So that would put them as 12. Playing Ohio State. We had Alabama, Notre Dame going at it. We had Illinois, Ole Miss going at it. Georgia, Penn State. So obviously, I mean, what's the obvious here? I guess I'll ask you guys a question. Do you guys both think so? Do you think, one at a time, do you think Indiana is going to stay in tomorrow night?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think because of all the losses they stay in, right?
I do too.
That'll help them. But they also, man, they didn't look half bad. And that game, I watched some of that game too, man. A couple of special team screw ups is what really got that game as far out of hand as it was. I think the punter messed up a punt, and then maybe a guy fumbled a return or something like that, and that gave Ohio State the ball deep in Indiana territory. So I mean, that game was actually a little bit closer than it looked, than the final score reflects. Indiana looked not bad,
Right.
And the horseshoe's a hard place to go win a game.
Right. I thought that, if anything, one of the things that I saw from Ohio State, and I know we're not going to go off too far on this, but let me just tell you, I think Ohio State has played Oregon, and that lets me know that the rest of the Big Ten is fake, because they did not play Oregon well. Well, let's just put it this way: Oregon put them in their place. But this Howard kid from Ohio State, man, he is pretty classless, man. I mean, just pretty classless. I mean, apparently he kind of did the whole Google me thing to Signetti and act like he was, putting a cigarette butt out and kind of just mocking him. And
that Indiana coach talks a lot of smack too. Don't let him.
He does, man. But he's grown.
I know, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But I agree with you. And I like Signetti. Like I think he needs to have that edge. It's hard to coach in Indiana, right? This is the first year Indiana's rolled in to play Ohio State.
Look, he's got that team playing as a team, because they don't have the talent level to get on the field with Ohio State. And considering that, I mean, they didn't play bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg, I missed this question. I mean, I flipped over, but Greg said, quick question. Does UGA cover the spread with Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
This is one of those games where I don't really dig. I mean, you guys speak. I don't really dig that spread. Rivalry games, rivalry weekend, in my opinion, spreads are kind of just out the box. Vegas
on a rivalry, you're crazy anyway.
Yeah. I don't. Me personally, I don't really care. I mean, just win. I mean, I'd be happy with it. I mean, will I be sad with a 3-point win? I will be worried about a lot of things will have had to go on that will worry you about SEC championship and playoffs if we only win by 3. But 3, 10, something like that, I'll be happy. I mean, I'll be over the world if we cover the spread. I think. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, spread or no spread?
I don't know. I think Tech's going to be hard pressed to score on us, because I didn't realize Haynes King was still so injured that he can't throw the ball.
Yeah,
I think he just goes out there and runs, and then they bring in that Philo guy, and when he's in, it's pass. They ran, I think, maybe like 10% of the time he was in there. Then when it wasn't, most of the time it was just drop back throw, and then Haynes King would come in and it'd be an obvious run.
Right.
So I think their offense is handicapped, and that works for us. And I'm not sure about their defense, but NC State made them look pretty bad. So
their NC State ran all over them. So I'm assuming we're going to be able to score handily, and
I think so too.
Defense will shut them down.
So, Night game at Stanford. Yeah, they're done. Or Stanford, sorry. Woo! Don't fire me.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer the question too, I think that 19.5, I think we'll go to about 17.5 by around Thursday.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think so. I mean, if I'm helping you with a bet, I would say I would take I would definitely take the under on that. I don't think anybody in a rivalry game this week. I mean, you look at how crazy the SEC is, right? And Georgia, remember, Georgia's going to get everybody's best game. Mm-hmm. They're still looked at as the program to compare to. Yeah, compared to and beat. So they're going to get everybody's best game. Georgia Tech's going to come in.
Tech is going to give us everything they got. Their coach is, I mean, he's maniacal about how much
he's good.
Georgia. Yeah, he hates Georgia. I mean, there's no easier way to say it. So obviously we look at who fell out. So, I think. So when we look at the committee, so I think and you guys can chime in on this. I think what the committee will probably do tomorrow night is, just because this is still week 2. Now, right now they have Texas. They've been having Texas in that SEC championship spot. What could change tomorrow night a little bit about this is, do they put Georgia? Do they think Georgia,
No.
since now Georgia's in against a Texas or a Texas A&M, are
No,
they
but
thinking Texas won? Texas lost to them on the road. I mean, when Georgia was on the road against Texas, they beat Texas. So are they going to say,
Well,
neutral site?
As of now, Georgia's in. It's going to be whoever wins Texas or
correct. But do
A&M.
you think the committee will now have Georgia? Some sports writers are now thinking, as of this week's predictions, that Georgia will now be predicted to be in that second spot now because of them being a lock to be in that game. That they're either going to beat Texas, which will be in Atlanta, and not in Texas. And if they beat them on the road, they're going to beat them there, or an A&M who just probably they think really can't compare to Georgia because of some of their ugly losses against a couple of teams they played. So the only thing I think changes about the committee part of what I'm going to say right now is they may have Georgia in it at second tomorrow night. I don't know. Eye test alone will not be against UMass, but eye test alone for Texas against Kentucky was not great either. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but
saw some of it. Yeah,
it wasn't great for Texas. I mean, Texas really didn't jump out to 31 until probably 8 or 9 minutes left in the game.
I'm going to go ahead and say the bias against Georgia. They won't have us at 2.
No, maybe. I don't think so either.
Maybe
because of the losses,
right?
Like they can't cosmetically, it won't look good. That'll be something that dude will have to explain, and he's not good at explaining stuff, like at all. So yeah, I think we'll jump up at least 3. We'll jump up ahead of Indiana, Ole Miss, and Bama. I know that.
Yeah. So I think if you guys can, I don't have a diagram or anything, but I'm thinking committee goes top 4 stay the same. I'm thinking Oregon gets a bye, Texas gets a bye, Miami with a bye, Boise State gets the bye. I think 5 stays the same, Ohio State. I do think now Colorado is out. I think you look at who do you trust more, BYU or Arizona State? Arizona State's on a 5-game winning streak right now. Hottest team
Arizona
in the Big
State
12.
now. They just beat BYU.
Yeah, yep. I think BYU only has 2 losses, so is this a rematch though? That's what I'm wondering. If this is a rematch game, like who's neutral site, they get to see him again. I'm just taking it, I'm looking at eye test alone. I don't watch a lot of the Big 12. I'm thinking Arizona State now hops in that 12 spot. And so it'd be Ohio State tomorrow night when they pick it against Arizona State. I think Penn State moves up to 6. This is not what I would do, but Penn State moves up to 6, and I think that inserts SMU at 11. I'm thinking this is what the committee might do. I think 7th might be Notre Dame, and that might move Tennessee into 10th. And I think they'll have us at 8 as a home game. Well, as of this week, not necessarily after anything else. 8 Georgia, 9 Indiana. I think we still look at now flipping, and where we would have been going to a Big 10 game on the road, now we get a home game. If nothing changed, if we played them Tuesday, we'd be playing at home against Indiana. I mean, any of this you guys agree or disagree with, or somebody else you'd have in there?
Dude, I'd like to see that.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I have it like this. I have Oregon, Georgia, Miami, Boise. I think Georgia would be, if we can get some of those running backs back for the SEC championship, I think Georgia has a crowd. It's we do have to worry about, that Sarkisian redemption story type thing. They beat you in the year, they beat you at home. They got a lot of bulletin board material, which is why I would rather have A&M, not because I'm scared of either or them, but just the bulletin board material alone. But then I would have Ohio State, Arizona State. I think that'd be in my lock. I think Texas would be in 6th if we did that. And then I'm gonna hold. You guys got the notes. You'll see what I got there. I think Notre Dame is 7, SMU's 10, Indiana's 8, Tennessee's 9. Do you notice who I have creeping back in there? If I still think that with rivalry week and everything and all these upsets, it still can happen. Do you guys still think there's a possibility that Bama could creep in there as an 11 seed?
I
mean, there might be an SEC team with 3 losses, right?
You see, that's why I don't like playing in this game. Because Bama, if we lose, yeah, Bama could jump us and kick us out. And Ole Miss could as well, because they both beat us. So if they do a tiebreaker type situation like they do for conference championships, if we lose this SEC championship game, that could be our egg ticket out of the playoff.
Yep.
Correct. But they are saying, this is what the committee has said. And now Richman, I know here comes Richman. He's haymaker and over the top because he don't like the committee. I know you don't like the committee. But the committee has said that conference championships matter. So I would think that a Texas loss or a Texas A&M loss to Georgia in a championship game status would, being their third loss, would overpower, say, an Ole Miss who has lost to a Kentucky, a Florida, and an LSU. Now, wouldn't you think that? And Alabama losing to a Vanderbilt, a A&M. I'm sorry, who did Alabama lost to Vanderbilt?
Are you saying if
Vandy,
Georgia
Tennessee,
beats
and
Texas, then Texas has two losses? And is that right? Two losses, and they're both to Georgia. They're in.
Yeah, I think so too.
Georgia.
They won't fall out. Texas, if we beat them, their only two losses are to us.
Texas is good either way. If Texas beats Texas A&M, they have to do that to get into the SEC championship. Now, if Texas loses to Texas A&M, are they out?
No, I don't think so either.
No, I think that'd
be their third loss, right?
Second loss.
Second loss. They're in. I mean, if I'm Texas, man, maybe I flop, dude. I mean, Texas could get back-to-back losses. No, they can't. No, they can't. They can't, because if they lose, they can't go.
Right.
So yeah, so Texas is in either way. The bubble thing, I told you guys, the bubble thing is either way, Georgia wins or loses. I think Georgia wins or loses in the SEC championship, as long as they don't. I'm not gonna say this. As long as we don't drop one to Tech. If we drop one to Tech, we have at least another chance. Then, if we drop one to Tech, we can win the SEC championship.
Then my opinion about the SEC championship game flips, because then I'm glad we made it.
Yeah,
then I'm super pumped and I'm super glad. We still have a path.
You go from not having a path or a 6th or 7th or an 8th slot to an automatic. I mean, I can't see the SEC being ranked any lower than 3rd.
So I want to talk about Texas for a minute.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So if you watch a game, Ewers was hurt. He was dragging. He was limping, and they did not pull him. And this week he had an MRI, and they're saying that he's probably not going to be able to go. So my question is, and I've heard a lot of analysts say that Texas is even better with Arch than they are with Ewers.
There's another element to the offense.
Exactly. So do you think the coach intentionally left Ewers in to let him get battered so he could now play Arch going into these critical games?
I'm sure he said, "Do you feel like you can go?" I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just let him play because it didn't really matter either way, because he had a backup plan,
And so, how do we match up with Arch? How good is he at running the ball?
You're not going to see Arch Manning in any of these games, guys. There's no way in the world Steve Sarkisian plays Ewers the entire year to get to all this right here, and then puts Arch in and goes, "Our everything is relying on you now." I mean, no offense, if I'm his boss and Texas doesn't make it out of the SEC championship and doesn't make it out of the playoff first round, and you played Arch Manning twice, I don't know, man. Maybe I might need to look at you, get you a psych evaluation, and then figure out if I need to fire you or not.
Hey, well, I mean, if he's hurt, he can't go. Then Arch has to play.
If he's hurt, I get it.
He got a bad.
If he's hurt, I get it. Yeah, if he's hurt.
Yeah, that's what Richman said. That's why I was saying what I was saying.
My bad. I was checking TikTok out. Let me hop over real quick. All dogs says Bama ain't getting in. Period. Dogs will bear Tech beat. Dogs will beat Tech by at least 10-14. I hope. I mean,
I'll take that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, like, I mean, we're gonna pick the game here in a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about Tech, but yeah, I think beating Tech, getting into the SEC championship game and winning it, or if it's just a battle, right? If it's a battle, I don't like this SEC. I would just love to be resting. I would love to be resting, but
heck yeah, dude. Then we just coast in with 3 weeks off. That'd be perfect. That would be so perfect.
It's hard, man. Really hard to talk about it because you don't really know. Oh man, I know Kirby's going to talk about it next week. You're not going to hear him say anything this week, but he'll talk about it next week. He'll talk about how different it is for the players, maybe not the fans, but for the players and the hardware and what you do it for and how hard it is to play in the SEC. You know, Kirby's going to be looking at it going, man, yeah, this is exciting. But I'm still talking about. I mean, I think there's a good chance. I mean, is there any chance that Bama is their name's called tomorrow night in this?
No, shouldn't be. They fall out of the top 12. They'll be 13 or 14. Ole Miss will be right there with them.
You guys both agree? Where do you guys both think Georgia lands tomorrow night?
I think they move up 3. What are we, 9th? So we'll be 6th.
So you're thinking you're thinking we're going to land in a 6th spot?
Yeah, I think so. If we're 10th, we'll move up to 7th. I'm not sure. Are we 9 or 10 right now?
We are 6 in the AP.
No, I meant in the playoff.
Playoff, right? As we were 11. Right.
Oh, then we'll move up to 8. Well, at least 3 spots.
I'm thinking 8. I'm thinking 8 versus 9, but it might be. Is it Indiana? I mean, I think it's a home game for us, but is it Indiana? Does Indiana follow? I mean, listen. This is where the AP. I put the AP on the notes, but this is where the AP poll is very important because look at the first 4 out. Clemson, there they are. Alabama, Arizona State is already in if they win the Big 12, and Ole Miss. Alabama's sitting there prime time to just somebody mess up, right?
Yeah.
You know, Tennessee, don't lose to Vanderbilt, buddy. Don't lose to Vanderbilt because you're letting Alabama in the back door.
And that's not a gimme.
Yeah.
That's not a gimme.
We need to save a lot of time on the picks tonight. We're going to talk about these scenarios.
If they beat Vandy.
Exactly. They're where we need to be.
Right? I mean, to know that we would have been watching the Tennessee game last, and all of us and our families were going, we got to beat Tennessee, man. We were on edge, blackout, best crowd we've had in Sanford all year. I mean, no offense, the first home game we've had all year, it felt like.
I know,
but
right?
Best crowd we've had, best well put together game we've had. I'm sorry, man. I should be in these comments, man. Greg's probably going off in here. Best game we've had, and now we want to be in a Tennessee spot. Like, do we lose to Tennessee? We would have been in a better spot, I guess. No, not necessarily, because they had one loss when we beat them. But let me catch up with Greg too. No strength of schedule for Indiana. Texas did not want Arch to play against UGA.
He played 2 series against us. Didn't do too well.
Then he went and looked strung out on the bench. Like, whoa.
Yeah. Greg said, let UGA be 12th. We can roll. UGA can't be 12th because that's where that 5th conference comes in, which is stupid.
Group of 5.
I mean, it's the group of 5, man. It's just so stupid, man.
It is. I can't.
Pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah,
man.
that's lame.
I don't even understand.
I mean, if they're ranked that high, great. If they're not, awesome. You know, whatever. They shouldn't get a spot, I don't think. I mean, whoever gets to play that team, I mean, unless there's a Cinderella story happening, you know, which, you know, in college basketball, there's always one.
What about Clemson? And I know we got to look at who Miami plays this weekend. I don't know who they play. Clemson.
I don't know who they
Here's my thing about Clemson. I don't know about you guys, but we're going to pick the game. I'll go ahead and give mine away. The reason I don't think Clemson, I'm not picking against South Carolina, man. I'm not picking against those guys. They're the hottest team right now in the SEC, in my opinion. South Carolina is pretty dang near. I mean, I have no idea, and I only put the top 15. I think South Carolina's around 17 or 18. I don't know how, man. I don't know how the AP says South Carolina. South Carolina is the best 3-loss team over Alabama, over all these jokers, man. Maybe because that loss, what they almost lost at the beginning of the year. Who they play? It was some team like, I don't know, man. Maybe they're holding that against them, but I'm just telling you, man, we're about to see Alabama slide in again, possibly, man. It's weird.
Hey, if they slide in, do you think they can do anything? I mean, I think the case has been cracked.
It's all about Milroe, man.
He carries Georgia, maybe. I don't know, man. Have we gotten over the curse of Alabama? It seems like every damn other team can beat Alabama. We just don't. We can't figure it out. Like, we beat them before, but like, we make them look. We make Milroe look like he's the second. He's the first round pick in the NFL, man. He drops 21 on us in 8 minutes.
Yep.
They didn't drop 21 in 60 minutes against Oklahoma. And that defense is good, but it ain't Georgia defense.
They should have had a touchdown. That was a terrible call, though.
That was a bad call.
Ryan Williams made a great catch.
Wild. Let's look at Tech real quick. So we talked a little bit about Haynes King, Aaron Philo. I didn't know this about Aaron Philo, but Aaron Philo broke the Georgia high school state record for most passing yards in a career. He holds the Georgia record for most passing yards in Georgia high school football. I did not know that. I heard that from Kirby today in his presser. So Philo has, but he can do both. He can run, he can throw the ball. I don't know if we see Haynes King. I don't know if we see. I think we see more of Philo, in my opinion, against the Georgia team. I don't think he could be one-dimensional against Georgia. I think Haynes King would have to throw the ball a lot more, like Fish said.
He can't throw the ball, but about 10 yards downfield.
Yeah, so man. I think Philo is what we get. The thing that Haynes King brings to the table is before he got injured, 145 of 200 for a 1607, and he had rushed for 468 yards. He had scored as many touchdowns on the ground as he did with his arm. He had 9 touchdowns with his arm and 8 on the ground. Now, Haynes King, when he can throw, is going to be a little bit more deadly. But I do think this Philo kid is not your, he's gonna do what he can. And he's obviously thrown the ball a ton of times in high school. So this isn't going to be easy pickings for us. And we'll figure out what the keys to the game are. Notables on defense: linebacker Kyle Efford, 61 tackles, defensive back Amari Harvey, 54 tackles. What I noticed about the secondary is not a lot of interceptions, not a lot of sacks. Not a lot of sacks, not a lot of interceptions. They don't, and I say this, this is one of those ones I'm like, dear Lord. I said this against Ole Miss. You remember, I'm not going to say it this time, but I mentioned there was 2 guys who hadn't really reared their head. But I just noticed that statistically they don't have a lot of those on their stat sheets. But Brett Key, at the end of the day, it's his rivalry. He hates Georgia, and I don't know what he's a Georgia Tech guy, so that kind of goes as one of the same.
He's fully invested. He's fully invested.
Fully invested, yeah. So let me before we, we're gonna get in here and we're gonna pick some games too. But before we do that, what do you guys think? Like keys to victory? I'll let you. Richman, I think defensively, you were very critical about us, so we'll let you take the defense. What do you think defensively has to happen against Tech to make us successful on Friday night? Black Friday night.
Really, on your defensive linemen, they've got to strike and get off the blocks, and they didn't do that. They got blown off the ball against UMass, and they just have to come with that willpower. We've seen it. They know what to do. We've seen it with Alabama second half. We've seen it with Texas. We saw it with Tennessee. They know what to do, and they can do it. It's just a matter of showing. And I think Kirby will have them ready to play this game. If they don't, I guarantee you Tech's going to jack them in the mouth quick.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to do this.
I expect Tech will come out like lightning and probably score first.
Yeah.
And
this is no different. This is no different than the Tennessee game.
I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, we need it just as bad.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this might be like a 45-21, but that 21, we might not look good in the first half.
Okay. All right. So we got Richman. We got Richman covering. Have you got us covering at all this year?
No.
If you got us covering, I feel good about it.
No.
I was just saying, I don't think you've had us covering all year.
Look, this is the way it should play out, not the way that it will play out.
Yeah.
If they strike and get off blocks, if the receivers catch the balls, if the defensive backs do their responsibility and play their keys, and if the linebackers will not cheat, it's amazing that we get beat on the outside. There's always somebody that's responsibility is to contain, but they don't. They cheat. I'm a 5-star. I'm so fast I can cheat, and they get their doors blown off.
Right.
I don't care how fast you are. if you're not covering the contain on the backside, and they're coming with a jet sweep, they're 30 yards down this field. It's 3rd and 5. The first 3rd and 5 in the game, we have nobody keying on the quarterback, and he gets 35 yards against UMass. Nobody, you know, and these guys are bad about getting sucked in. I mean, our linebackers feel when I don't think they should be feeling. I think they should be keying and then filling.
Right.
But they'll fill a gap, and then, you know, and that's not where the ball's at. They get sucked up in there, and then they're useless because you can't run to the ball once you commit to the line.
That's true.
Right. We talked about that. Why can't we just contain? Right. Like if your job's to contain, stop going inside. Like just stand there.
Yeah.
And if nobody comes your way, you've done your job. But I think we have
once you clear that backside and you make sure that jet sweep's not coming your way, make sure that quarterback's not running a bootleg or something stupid like that. Yeah. And then run to the ball, you know, but your job is your job.
I mean, if you look at one of those runs, and Fish, I know you saw this one, we had the guy. Like it looked like we had him for a 2-yard loss, and next thing you know, man, he just bounced outside untouched for 30. And I was like, where is why are we have so many red jerseys in the play? Like in the play.
Now, I've seen Chaz cheat this year and make plays.
Right.
And you know, and I've seen some of the guys that analyze the tape and break down the film. They're like, well, that's experience. He just he's been in the film room and it's experience, and he feels it. And I'm like, yeah, you can be experienced and feel that too. And here comes a jet sweep on your ass.
Yeah.
Right. And that is something that, I mean, you remember last year, that is one thing that we had to get under control. Georgia Tech, that's was it Faulkner? Is it Buster Faulkner? He got us east and west for a little while in that game. That's what opened a lot up.
And Mason, that running back they had, Mason, he plays for the 49ers right now. He's actually doing really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hit us east and west a lot last year. We had to that was a big adjustment on why we were so successful in making sure we put Georgia Tech away last year, because Faulkner really had a great game plan to what he was trying to do was he was trying to soften those edges and open up the middle and the pass to where you had to be 3-dimensional so they could get some one hitters, and they were successful until we had a really good recovery at halftime.
We always do.
I think we just need to. I agree with you guys though. We need to be careful about how much we're putting on our team to be having to come out of halftime and make big time adjustments and lock in the third quarter. What if we got to ask? I mean, some of these games, especially if it's in the playoffs or if it's in the SEC championship, like. And against Tech, we may not get the opportunity to do that. I mean, not that we're going to be down that many points, but we just may be in an opportunity where we are not getting beat by scheme, but we're maybe physically getting beat in some areas. Maybe injuries are hurting us, and we're asking a lot of our players, and we just can't turn that corner. Because I would say in Ole Miss, that's what happened, right? We were asking a lot of our players to adjust to what they were doing, plus injuries and things of that nature, and we couldn't overcome it. It was too much of a. I mean, I think they hurt us too much in the first half, and they kind of just continued.
Well, they came out physical, and they also had been scheming for us for a year. Lane told us that. So I mean,
yeah, he did.
We walked into a perfect storm. Now Tech, they are going to be physical.
Yeah.
But they don't have 4- and 5-star linemen. They shouldn't be able to sustain that for the whole game.
Yeah.
But
Fish, what do you think about offense, Fish? What do you think? Well, I mean, what do you think we got to do on offense?
Be aggressive, like always. I mean, like score some points in the first quarter. You know, help the defense out, keep them off the field. Don't let them get tired by the third or fourth quarter. You know, especially if it's a close game. You know, they got to show up and show out. And the defense, for the love of God, please go to bed early that night and wake up with some energy and make some tackles, because they look like they were all out partying the night before. Like they didn't give a crap about UMass, and they went out there and they were just lethargic, lazy, no effort. You know, and I'm sure they were getting chewed after every series. on the
Yeah.
sideline. But, defense is effort, man. You can be big and strong, but if you're not trying, you're still not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You gotta try. You got you gotta wrap up, with some authority. Don't just hit them. A couple of
Yeah.
times our guys were just throwing a shoulder at these dudes, and they
Yeah.
were just bouncing off and going around them.
Yeah, I agree.
They gotta that can't be happening. I think they just were looking way past UMass straight to Georgia Tech. I don't think they took UMass very seriously at all.
I think what you guys are saying, I'm going to pull from a little bit from both of you guys, because I think it's also what we need going forward. Tech, obviously, first, and then getting into the SEC championship, and hopefully, I think we're college football playoff. But when you look at these things, like I think we need to look at on defense, we need to create more havoc around the quarterback, when we get more push, when we get home more. We get into a position where the offense feels a lot more comfortable because of where we're at and what our defense is doing.
Yeah.
And our DBs play much more confident when we're getting pressure, I feel like. Now, when the quarterback has a lot of time to sit there and really dissect, and the blitz is not getting there and is putting these guys on islands, we're not comfortable with that. And then on offense, Fish, I agree with you, man. We need to get more in a habit of going. We need to sustain drives. We don't need to come out and feel around for 2 quarters to figure out what the offense can be. If we've game planned it, if we've schemed it, catch the ball, run the ball, block, and let's be up by a couple of touchdowns or so going into halftime, and then adjust and blow them out, right?
Yeah. Because we're going to make adjustments. We're going to make the right adjustments at halftime. That is our MO. That's who we are. We have some of the best coaches in the league, the league, and they make really good adjustments. But why can't they get them ready before the game?
Yeah.
Like, why wait till halftime? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I know. It's ad nauseum, man. Every week you come out thinking, all right, are we going to put 28 points up on them and hold them to 0 this game? And it doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's wild, man. It's definitely wild. I agree with you. Dude, let's do it. I'm gonna take a little extra time because we're on rivalry week, so we can take a lot of time with these games. But let's hop in, pick these games, man. This will be a fun weekend. First one out of the box, Thanksgiving Day evening, 7:30. Man, still full off the turkey. Tulane, Memphis. Man, 2 teams that, when you look at their records in the American, this should pan out to be a really good game. Tulane's ranked 20th right now, 9-2, 7-0 in the American. Tulane still has an outside shot to make the college football playoff, depending on how Boise comes in, depending on how depending on how this the Big 12 looks. Can they get in and win their conference and be a higher ranked team than a Boise or that? Who knows? Tulane's been a team that earlier on was picked to be a possible 12th team in this. But who you got, Fish, this game?
No, give me Tulane.
Who you got, Fish? Who you got, Richman?
Tulane.
I think Tulane covers. I think they win this game. Memphis has been shaky. There's 2 losses in those 2 American Conference losses. I'm gonna click on it real quick if I remember this correctly. One of them was to Navy, the other to UTEP. Both of those teams were total other end of the spectrum. Navy ran all over them, and then UTEP passed all over them. I think Tulane is very balanced. I think they can bring a lot that same intensity, and I think Tulane wins. Noon kickoff, Colorado. Man, this game would have been a lot better to pick if Colorado would have won last week. But Colorado, this game is not in Bedlam this year. So this is Oklahoma State comes to Boulder. Colorado coming off that loss. I'm curious to see if I don't know. Is this where it starts? Right. I'm curious to see, does Hunter play? Does he play a lot? Does Shador play every snap? What does this look like? And what does this win mean to Colorado? Colorado comes in 17-point favorites. Who you got, Richman?
Colorado.
You think they play everybody? You think anybody kind of bows out of this game?
I don't know, man. I kind of think.
If I'm Travis Hunter, man, I'm done. Shutting it down, bro. He said he's gone.
I don't know,
He
man.
did.
I was thinking Shador wants to put up some more. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't think like that. So
I think you see him, but man, it'd be definitely interesting in the NIL days because this is
it
where it
would be.
starts to happen, right?
I mean, if they pulled him in the second half and played somebody else,
Right.
I mean, you got to think. Deion wants to win, right?
I would
He
think
needs
so.
to win.
I think he does. I mean,
Because
it's not going to look good for recruits. I mean, he's got a big. So far, he's got a Juju Lewis win on recruiting trail. We don't know what else he's got to
you got to
cover.
think he's got Juju Lewis, so he wants to use Juju Lewis to recruit top 4 and 5 star athletes to all the other positions to give him a chance to make a run. Would be my thinking. Or is Juju going there for the money? I'm going to get 1 year under my belt, and then I'll transfer out somewhere where I can win a natty. I mean, that's what I read this week about Dylan Raiola from Nebraska.
I heard about that too.
Yeah, they were saying even Georgia was a possible place he would transfer to, and I'm like,
don't you dare come back to Georgia, bro.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
I don't know now.
Are you kidding me? I mean, I thought Nebraska was all that.
And that's where he wanted to be. Matt ruled this, Matt ruled that. Let's go.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they're just talking that talk. I mean, Matt Rule has had not the year that he should have had, but that's interesting. That's interesting.
He's not a great coach.
I think Colorado wins this game. I think they cover. It's at Boulder. I think this team wants to go out to a decent bowl and win. This Oklahoma team is just bad this year. This is not this might be the end of the mullet era at Oklahoma State for Van Gundy.
Mike Gundy's like a staple in college football.
I said Van Gundy, but yeah, Mike Gundy. Sorry.
I like him a lot, dude. I really do. He's been there so long. He's like, when I think of college football, he's one of the faces I see. You know, not because he's been great or anything, but they have played some seriously good games. They have upset some seriously high ranked teams when they weren't high ranked. You know, but I don't think any of that helps him this weekend. I think Colorado gets it. I think Hunter and Shador play at least the first half, get up on them, and then they pull them in the second.
3:30 CBS. Notre Dame. Is this upset alert? Goes to USC.
Yep.
So this is technically a noon kickoff for us. It will feel like a noon kickoff for them. Right now, Notre Dame is a sparingly 7.5 point favorite in this game to a 6-5 USC team that is now bowl eligible. This is not the year that Lincoln Riley wanted to have. Moss has already got one foot in the portal. Who knows if Lincoln Riley gets the ultimatum? I don't know, man. This is going to be a wild one. Rich man, who you got on this one?
Who is that receiver that's so good for Notre Dame? Is it Love or something?
I have no idea. I don't cover Notre Dame near enough.
Yeah,
probably.
I hate Notre Dame.
Man,
I think
if they target him 10 or 15 times, they win.
Now, USC
for the W.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame.
Bear Alexander has 4 sacks.
Is he going to play? Is he going to play?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think he's playing.
He checked out a long time ago.
Yeah.
Who you got, Rich man?
As much as I want to see an upset, I'm thinking it's going to be the Dames.
The defense, man. Defense. Who you got, Fish?
Oh, USC upset alert.
Ooh, man, I want it to be upset alert, man. This is USC we're talking about right now.
Notre Dame, they're not awesome. They're playing good, but they're still Northern Illinois, bro, at home.
Notre Dame on the road. Give me USC, man. Give me USC. I don't know how. As Corso would say, Corso would say something smart here, be like, on the foot of so and so the kicker, and I'm like, I don't know how, man, but give me USC on this one. Maybe it's what I want to happen. Man, crazy.
I want Notre Dame to lose.
3:30 ESPN. This is a very peculiar game that I'm going to be following, but it could get weird. Number 8 Miami going into the Carrier Dome in Syracuse against Fran Brown and the mighty Fighting Orange the mighty Fighting Orange Popsicles of Syracuse. Miami's 10.5-point favorites. I like how this pans out because Syracuse plays defense, and that's what got Miami against Georgia Tech was defense.
Yep.
Who you got, Fish?
I'd love to see Syracuse win. I don't know if they will, because Miami seems to find a way to win games that they should lose, whether it be an overturned touchdown in the end zone, like that Virginia Tech game. That should have been their first loss.
Right.
Like, I don't know how they overturned it. I agreed that it was, or wasn't a catch or was a catch or whatever. I think the call was right, but there was not enough evidence. I think they just did it because they just knew that it. You know what I mean? That. Anyway. Syracuse upset alert.
Ooh,
Picked another upset.
Two upsets.
Yep.
Who you got, Richman?
I'm gonna take the Orangeman.
Dude, I love
their
Orangeman this one.
mascot.
Can I tell you why I like the Orangeman? Fran Brown needs guys. We know Fran Brown, but Fran Brown needs a signature win this year at Syracuse. He needs to bring a signature win to Syracuse to go. Syracuse is actually a football school. I mean, you got McCord, you got a defense, you got a lot of UG. You got some UGA kids on that team, right?
Took some of our guys.
Yep.
I'm not trying to call it upset alert because I want it to happen. I really think that Fran Brown can do this, man. So I'm going Syracuse. I'm going Syracuse by some crazy field goal, onside recover, 2-point convert, something crazy happens here because Miami's got to go to a school that has more orange in their uniforms than they do.
Yep.
So that's why they win that game. Moving along right here, I think this one right here can be very, very interesting. Alabama, 3:30. ABC, Auburn goes into Tuscaloosa. Alabama's an 11.5-point favorite right here, right now. This is Kalen DeBoer being introduced to the Iron Bowl. They're coming in as, a team that they might think, depends on what the committee gives them tomorrow, they may think they still have this outside chance, right? I think they'll play inspired. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. Can Auburn do this? Can Hugh Freeze? Does he have it in him twice?
Bet the farm on the points. This team is broken. They don't believe in DeBoer. They don't believe in Milroe. They're infighting. They think it's the end of times.
Look who just popped in, man. Bobby Riles in the chat. What's up, Bobby Riles, man? He says Auburn by. Can you pronounce that,
Auburn
man?
by Fitty.
By Fitty.
I got the Fitty part, man. So Rich, man, you're saying you calling Auburn going into Tuscaloosa right now? And winning?
Yep.
Man, you guys are. If this one right here is better than last week as far as upsets.
Alabama got a knife in the gut last week. Auburn's fixing to twist that thing.
If anybody other than Hugh Freeze was coaching that team, I'd agree with you
100%.
That's what I'm saying. On the road, man. On the road.
If that game's in Auburn, I take Auburn all day.
I've already picked. Yeah, because
dude, they probably won't even have a full stadium. The Alabama fans have already sold everything they got that says DeBoer.
It's the first time they've lost 3 games in a season since 2010.
That's not true, man, because the second-tier Alabama fans, the one with less than 5 teeth, man, I don't even know if I can say that. That's bad, dude. That's so bad.
$15 tickets, baby. Upper deck.
They're finally going to get their shot of the game, man. They may be the better fans, actually. They may be the ones that are more diehard, man. What's my boy on TikTok, man, that he just screams at the TV, bro. He's dead drunk half the time, man.
Trampers from Mobile.
Maybe that's him, bro. But he's like, Bama, 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 Bama. And he was like, Bama. What are we doing? And and then they let him drive home. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It's so bad that Legend hasn't made a Feinbaum appearance in like 3 weeks.
He shouldn't, man. Legend, this might be the end of Legend, man.
I'm telling you, bro. He's checked out of DeBoer Town.
I can't call. So Fish, who you got? So Richmond's got upset alert. Bobby.
I'm taking Bama just because it's in Tuscaloosa, and I think Peyton Thorne played the game of his life last week.
Bobby
And
says
I don't
50
know
to
if he has any
11.
left
You
in
know that old rap song. I done came to the club about 50 to 11.
50, 11 times.
50, 11.
Fish. So Fish. You got who?
I'm taking Bama.
Yeah, I got to go Bama, man. I got to go Bama, man, because Hugh Freeze can't do this, man. He can't do Texas A&M and Alabama, man.
I don't think
He
so
might
either.
actually, if he he can do A&M, Alabama, and then he's going to sign a top 5 class. Next thing you're going to say is Hugh Freeze is 2 years away from a natty, and
Nah, he'll just keep his job for 2 more years. It's his Auburn.
Yeah. I will be cheering for Mississippi State and Auburn hardcore though, because we need them both to pick up loss number 4. That way, if we do mess around and lose the SEC championship game, that helps us still stay in the conversation.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, if we lose,
we ain't
we're in
picking
trouble.
that game, but Ole Miss at home, 26-point favorites, Egg Bowl. Mississippi State doesn't have a defense, man. I hear you though. I mean, it's Egg Bowl. Who knows, man? It only takes one guy scoring a touchdown and peeing on the mascot to flip the whole game around, and there it goes. Here goes Willie.
Yes,
Willie, that Bama fan, is shot out. Wow, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. Big noon kickoff. Here's one. Michigan going into the shoe versus Ohio State, 10-1. Right now, Ohio State, 21-point favorites. I think I would pick Michigan if Bryce Underwood was suiting up tomorrow, maybe. Or I'm sorry, Saturday I might, but I'll let y'all fight over this one. Fish, who you got in Michigan, Ohio State?
Ohio State and the points.
Ohio State and the points. Who you got, Richman?
State.
I got Ohio State in this one, man. Finally, Ryan Day. It takes the Michigan Wolverines getting decimated in NFL talent and everything known to man, losing their coach to finally. I don't know, man. I will tell you this much. Mark my words. If Michigan, listen, you heard it here. If Michigan beats Ohio State and Ohio State still makes it to the Big Ten championship and loses to Oregon and then doesn't make the playoff, Ryan Day is fired. He is gone. If he finishes up, loses to Michigan, and he loses to the Big Ten championship, he will be fired. You heard it here. We go viral, and Spurrier wants to be part of our show.
Awesome. I'll take him. Let's bring the ball coach
12
on.
o'clock game, ABC.
He can be right down here in this little corner with me.
Right. ABC, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, man. This is 12 o'clock noon. This is tricky right here. Tricky because this is the game that might let Alabama back in. Who you got, Fish?
What game? I'm sorry.
Tennessee, Vanderbilt, noon in Vandy.
Oh my
School
God.
board might be up now. Might be. I don't know.
I would love for nothing more than Pavia to run for like 250 and 4 touchdowns and they win 28-10 or something like that. It depends on Nico, what he looks like, how good he's throwing the ball, whether they can score or not. Because I think Vandy's going to score. So, but I think Tennessee probably wins. It's close though, like touchdown.
Who you got, Richmond?
Man, as much as I hate orange, I mean, I won't even wear orange deer hunting.
Me either.
I got to take Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. This may be Pavia's last.
I think he's run out of magic.
Magic. This may be Pavia's last go at it in Nashville before they go to a bowl game. They're bowl eligible. But I don't know, man. Tennessee has to feel like they got a second win, right? They're going to see their name. They're going to see their name in there tomorrow night.
Yep.
I think Tennessee plays inspired. They get a second breath. I think Bobby, as I call him, old Bobby from I'm sorry. That's maybe I got the wrong name. Who's my boy from over the hill?
Bobby.
From King of the Hill, it's Bobby.
King of the Hill, yeah, King of the Hill.
Dang it, Bobby.
Bobby, that's him, man, from Tennessee. I think he calls a great game against Vandy. Tennessee wins. They cover.
I love King of the Hill.
Bobby Rouse, the other Bobby Rouse, says Ohio State will cover. Ryan Day is not elite. No. The only thing he's elite, man, is he's got a phenomenally in-depth beard.
He's like that G.I. Joe beard.
Yeah,
Oh,
man. It's
it's
like
fake.
it's painted on,
I
bro.
think
It's like
he
spray
it
painted on.
is. It is. It goes from patchy one day to like full on awesome the next week. Like, come on, man.
Wild.
He's painting it.
I think he's doing something. He's got some hair plugs on his cheek. I don't
He's
know.
got,
Spray
he's
painting
got
it,
some
bro.
of that eyebrow stuff that thickens it up.
Spray painting it. All right, here we go.
It's too black. That should get real.
Game day is in College Station, man. Texas A&M number 15, 8-3 versus Texas Longhorns. Right now, Texas is favored by 6. That's going to drop to about, I don't know, man. I don't know.
3.
Might drop for 3, just for men. Might drop to 3. I don't know if it'll drop that far, but we got till Saturday at 7:30, so it might. I'll go to you, Fish. Who you got in this game?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's in Kyle Field, right?
This is it's in College Station, Kyle Field. Game day's there.
All right. So, I think A&M, I don't know. They're going to be mad. They're going to be super upset. Elko already said he was looking past Auburn, and it showed. Auburn played the game of the season, their game of the season.
Yeah.
Give me A&M with the upset. Picking 3 upsets this week.
College Station, man, it's hard, bro. That crowd at College Station at night reminds me of the UGA crowd at night, man. A UGA crowd is just very, very unmatchable, in my opinion, sometimes at night, man. And A&M, man, with I call him Lassie, man. Lassie out on the field, man. They got the
Rivalry.
They got the letters going, man. They got the junk. I don't even know what it all is. I think you learn that when you go to A&M.
They got the artillery cannon.
Yeah, man. They just got like a little bit of everything. Like they just, damn. I'm not. You go first, Rich, man. Who you got?
All right. 12th man. I'm going
12th man.
I'm going with the A&Ms.
Oh gosh, we did this last week against Ole Miss, man. Just so you know,
look.
Bobby Rouse slid in here, says A&M wins that one at College Station. I think this is another moment, man, where kind of like the Georgia game for Texas, where they gotta really, but it's different, right? The crowd's not in their favor in this one. It's rivalry. It's home. This is the biggest game for Texas A&M, maybe in the history of the program. Maybe, I don't know. I have to go back, but it could be because of what it means. They're both in the SEC now, right?
Yep.
So this means it just means more, right?
It just means more.
This is going to be a game of it's going to be a game of emotions, and it's going to be a game of who allows this, like, the pressure of this game to get on the defense. I think the offenses are going to be fine. I think they're going to work, but it's going to be a lot on the defense to make sure that they can get some things here, key stops, field goals instead of 3s instead of 7 type things. You're going to need those things. 3s instead of 7s are going to be very crucial in that game. We don't know the weather. I mean, I know for me, like, we're supposed to hit another downhill little turn here, and in Texas, man, they're not used to playing in the 50s, and 40s. So I don't know if that affects anything. Yeah, it's supposed to be cold this weekend. So I don't know, man. I will tell you who I think is going to win. I think Texas A&M is going to win the game because it's Kyle Field, man.
Hey, the real Cowboys are going to take care of the Steers.
I like it, man. Send Lassie out there, man. Send her out there. I call him Lassie, man. Georgia Tech, man. Last game. Oh, no. Sorry. I think I know who you guys got on this, but 12 o'clock. Very important game. South Carolina, Clemson. This is important because Clemson, technically, if they win this game, this now becomes a statement win for them, and they can kind of hide in the background because SMU is kind of, as long as SMU wins out, it's SMU and Miami in the ACC championship. So Clemson is on the outside right now, ranked, I think it's 14th. If this is a signature win for them in front of the committee, because South Carolina, I feel like, is one of the best 3-loss teams, not only in the country, but definitely in the SEC. This is a big game for Clemson at home, right? It's a noon kickoff. And Clemson's actually favored by like 2.5 in this game right now. Who do you got, Richman, in this game?
I'm going to take the Clems.
The Clemson Tigers help us, right? It really helps us.
Well, assuming strength schedule matters, which who knows if it does.
We'll know what matters tomorrow.
South Carolina will find a way to muff it up.
Yeah, I agree. Who you got? Who you got, Fish?
Yeah, I think Shane Beamer might coach himself out of a win tomorrow night or Saturday night.
He's just on a high, right? He's on a big time high, and this ain't as we call it. It's not chartered seas for Beamer. He doesn't know how to steer this boat in these seas where he's on top, right?
Yep.
I think Dabo hasn't had this signature win to get him. I mean, really, Dabo has a shot at making the playoffs right now if he beats South Carolina. He really does. I think he does because I think Clemson can be looked at as a team when you look at the ACC that can slip in there because there's some SEC teams now. Used to you were talking about just 5 teams from the SEC game, there's 6 from the SEC. Now you're like maybe 4, maybe 3. So
the
it's like
schedule was designed for the SEC to beat up on each other with the road games, the home games, the teams that never play each other playing each other now. Georgia never used to play Alabama and Ole Miss in the regular season every year. So you take those 2 games out and you add Vandy and South Carolina, that could be 2 wins instead of 2 losses.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with what Bobby said too. If it's in South Carolina, it's easy win for South Carolina. I think they've been playing really, really, really well at home. But it's not. Who you got, Fish?
Now, we want Clemson to win.
Yeah.
I think for aesthetics and our strength of schedule. But yeah, I think South Carolina. If I had to pick one, if my life depended on it, I'd pick Carolina.
Yeah, I like Clemson to win. We need him to win. I'm thinking this is uncharted waters, right? This is where Beamer. This would kind of be Beamer. Like, don't you guys think that now this would be kind of Beamer can show up at SEC Media Days next year and go, "I've arrived. I have a team now that can compete in the SEC." But I don't think he does that. I don't think
Beamer's the clown that's filling up the balloons with laughing gas and taking hits as he's doing it.
But I think if he wins this game, he'll walk in on a different tune. He'll be a team that everybody look at and go, That's why I don't think he's going to win this game. I think Cade Klubnik, man, is peaking at the right time. Clemson's peaking at the right time. This offense is, and it's offense versus defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's offense versus defense. It's Clemson's offense versus South Carolina's defense is where it's going to hit the rubber. And I think Clemson edges this. I like that 2.5. I see a field goal somewhere. I see this being tied or OT at home. Yeah, and I agree with Bobby, man. If this is in South Carolina, man, Sandman comes in, Clemson goes out, 2 touchdowns. Too much South Carolina on that one.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, 7:30 Black Friday evening. I don't know if this is a blackout game. I haven't seen much about it, but
if it's not a blackout game, then something's wrong.
Right, because it's Black Friday.
It's on Black Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
we need to copy paste Tennessee plus about 10 decibels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we can. The challenge I would have from Kirby this week is can you beat that atmosphere? On campus. The thing I worry about, though, guys, is, and this is a crowd thing. This is not a team thing. But the thing I worry about is it's Thanksgiving break. You got a lot of students at home. They may come back for this game. You do have a lot of students that are a lot of them for the Athens area, Atlanta area, so they may come back for this game. But I just worry about the students taking part because the students are what drive our fans, in my opinion. Georgia has a lot of alum. We have a lot of good fans, but I think our students the past few years have been driving the motivation from our fans.
They'll be there, man.
Yeah, I hope so.
The Greeks, they'll be there.
Yeah, 7:30 ABC. Georgia's getting 19.5, man. 19.5. I'll do this in alphabetical order. Fish, give me your take first. Give me a win or loss and a score.
Georgia 35-17.
35-17. I don't know about my math, but that means we cover. No.
It's only 14.
No. Yep.
I'm sorry. 18.
It's 18. Yeah, we don't cover.
Dude, I'm covering.
21-45.
I would love to see that.
45 what?
21.
21-45.
21-45.
I would love to see that. I mean, if we make a statement, and we could possibly move up a little bit further next week.
Yeah.
Would it be exciting if it's tied 21-21 at half? I would be like, holy mackerel.
Are you pissed, man?
Shut them down in the second half and roll.
I need to implant beard hair to my forehead to get more hair on my head because that would be all gone.
Implant
Bobby
beard
Rouse
hair.
says UGA by 13. I'm just going to go double digits on this one, man. I think Georgia's going to win. I think the difference maker in this, though, is this quarterback, right? This quarterback from Georgia Tech. I say this every week, but I really think when you start looking at it, you watch what happened at Tennessee and you watch what happened when things stopped in this UMass game, was when we started imposing our will and causing chaos in that backfield where handoffs were getting to be hard to come by. And, you give this kid from you give this kid from Georgia Tech, what's his name? So Aaron Fowler, you give him less time to make a decision. And what can happen from this is the offense is going to be able to score points, I think. But don't let the defense start creating some points too, because when that happens, that's when we get to what you guys are talking about with these high double-digit wins. I think the offense can score, but I think the defense has the opportunity to also put the offense in really great situations and score, and maybe even give us, a scoop and score, which I love seeing this past Saturday. The scoop and score was incredible. What were you going to say, Richmond?
Defense needs to get off the field quick too. I mean,
yeah. Sustained drives from another team has been, in my opinion, something that's really gotten us this year.
Because we can't let them control the clock.
Yeah, I agree.
They're going to want to. They're going to try to keep our offense off the field, wear out our defense.
Yeah, Faulkner will be in Kirby's back pocket for a little while, like he was last year, playing the mind games. You got to know that anybody like Key that talks about Georgia as much as he talks about them, they're pulling a little bit of this. It'll be a Lane Kiffin type feel, man. They probably do a little bit of Georgia every single week. Whether it be defense, whether it be offense, Lane Kiffin prided himself that, when I started looking into it, they averaged at least one quarter, as they call it, a quarter a day on something UGA, whether it be defense playing against, 7-8 man fronts, cover zero, blitz, whether it's on offense, tunnel screen. I mean, just anything you could think of, one quarter, which is like usually, 8 to 10 minutes on just nonstop stuff like that.
Seems like to me they wasted some time they should have spent on Florida.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. That definitely. And he probably I heard a lot of, and we can get into that. We'll need some stuff to talk about next week before SEC Championship week. But I've heard a lot of grumbling. I thought everybody was safe this year, man. I really did, but I'm starting to wonder now with Kiffin and Ole Miss, is Kiffin getting? I mean, this was it, man. He bought this team, man. I'm just calling out this is a $20 million team. He went and bought his front. His NIL money. I mean, he went to the bank heavy. It's kind of like going to the horse races and, you bet, you win. And you're like, man, here's the big one, right? And we won the big one. But then we go back to the thing and we bet again. But yet what we didn't do was our homework when we bet again. And I think that's what he did was he didn't do his homework when he bet again, and he was confident. And even the offensive scheme against Florida looked very, very nothing like it looked against Georgia. Nothing like it. And Florida has an improved defense from even the beginning of the year. Nothing like they looked against Georgia. The run game was nothing like. The defensive push was nothing like it looked against Georgia. And it was because Florida was better. It's just different. I think Lane Kiffin does a little bit of soul searching this year. I don't know of any jobs coming open that he might take. I mean, he ain't going back to USC if it opens up, but
I don't think he's running.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, Florida's now is a little more solidified. I mean, if Ohio State came calling, I mean, if Ryan Day, wets the bet against Michigan again and wets the bet against, the Big Ten, and they're tired of it. I mean, can you imagine Lane Kiffin in the Big Ten with Ohio State with that recruiting board and that money? Bobby Rouse says linebacker Chris Paul is from Cordele, Buckets Files. Yeah, from Ole Miss. Yeah, I remember you saying something about him. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm not trying to hate, but we saw enough of Ole Miss defense that I have nightmares, so I don't want to hear any more about them. But yeah, man, I think it's Pooh Paul, isn't it? Pooh, P-O-O Paul. I think I've heard you call his name before. Yeah, man. I mean, could you imagine Kiffin up at Ohio State? And the only other person that I see that I could go back on now, because I thought that there's nobody gonna move this year, but it just depends on how much the crap hits the fan. I mean, I'll open up. We're on an hour 25 minutes. We'll put 5 more minutes on this. How many of you guys think LSU is gonna do anything more forward now, losing the number 1 recruit in the nation and Brian Kelly being your coach? Who, I mean, this team completely quit on him, and he quit back, and they lost the number 1 recruit in the nation. Like,
he's such a putz.
I don't know if Brian Kelly has anything left for this team. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think he's going to try to go back up north somewhere. I don't think he's built for the SEC. I think he needs to go to like the American or something like that, like go up to Boise.
Well, nowadays, I mean, you could, yeah, go get in there, go try to be that 12th team in, go to the Big 12. That'd be great. Go to Baylor. I mean,
he is
go over to Baylor because Aranda's going to lose his job. So
he has openly admitted that he hates playing ranked games first game of the season. He's afraid of them. He thinks that that's a conversation that needs to be had, that they shouldn't schedule games like that. He's openly admitted that. He has openly admitted that after the USC beat him first game of the year, he does a conversation every Monday afternoon with Paul Feinbaum, and that's what he said. He said he doesn't like those games. Exactly, and that's when I lost all respect for him, because I was actually buying the hype that he was actually a decent coach. I thought he was.
I never thought he
because
was.
they ended on a high last year.
Here because he was going to dominate the SEC.
That's what he thought.
He's a blowhard. He's always run his mouth, and he's never been able to back it up.
Exactly. He's such a putz. Can't stand him.
And he's a sissy, a self-admitted sissy.
Exactly. He thinks he should schedule cupcakes.
Do yourself a favor and get rid of this chump.
What's his buyout right now?
I didn't think any jobs are going to be available in the SEC. I thought this was going to be a very tame offseason, and we need stuff to talk about in the offseason, so we don't need to go too far with it. But I will say that that might give us a little bit of rough waters, because if I'm LSU, I'm like, man, you just lost the best recruit that LSU's had since, I don't know, Jamar Chase. I don't know. I mean, Leonard Fournette. I don't know. You can go back to some of these guys the LSU's had, but Bryce Underwood I've heard is I mean, they gave the kid $12.5 million. I mean, something must check out. So they lost him though.
Well, he gets his recruits in this dark room, and they stand on this pedestal in the middle, and they spin around, and he does things like this.
360 photo booth
while they're standing back to back. Like, that's just so weird, man. Like,
that's weird.
Every time I hear his name, that's the picture that comes up in my head.
Yeah.
Is that little 5-second video clip of them going in the circle and then him just like, come on, man. What are you doing?
Bobby says, I really thought Kiffin was a stud. However, with the talent he brought, yeah, man, I can't agree with that more. I mean, he was a guy that I did say earlier on. I was like, if for some reason, Georgia and Kirby ever parted ways, like Kiffin was a guy. But I'm starting to wonder, man, if that is. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And it's not because I want him now. Like, I'm a Kirby guy. When Kirby was hired, I was all on board. I mean, I was a Kirby Smart fan when I was a kid. So, and the intensity he brought from Alabama, I knew this was going to be. I mean, you couldn't predict what was going to come of it, but you knew that we were going to be a better team. We were going to be a better aggressive team. We were going to be a better disciplined team. I never knew this, but I'll tell you what, man. Another crazy person out there that has that crazy mentality because he came under Kirby's wing is Dan Lanning. And I'll tell you, man, Dan Lanning is on fire right now at Oregon, and he's a guy that I will say if Oregon and Georgia meet in the playoff for the national championship, it will be something for the ages. It'll be something for the ages.
Check out Bobby. Bobby's got a good question right there.
What would Ryan Williams be worth if he left Bama and hit the portal? I've heard that he might. He would be worth a lot of money, but I think Ryan Williams is 17 years old, and I think what may happen this year could be more money chasing. You could see it depends on what. I mean, here's one for you. What could Ryan Williams do in an Oregon system?
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I mean, Dan Lanning, I mean, right now and I don't know who the quarterback might be. I mean, the UCLA kid's there, obviously waiting his turn, and that's good. I forget his name, but what could Ryan Williams be in in Oregon system, and what could Brian Williams be in Georgia system? Now, you guys sleep on Bobo a little bit, and I did too. I'll take it back a little bit now on
Dude,
Bobo.
I have history with Bobo.
Right.
I have history with Bobo.
I agree. So,
from
like,
his playing
for us,
years to
for all of us, right?
coaching. Yeah.
It's love-hate, right? I mean, it's kind of like your best friend, man. Like, yeah, you guys are going to argue, but at the end of the day, man, your friend, like, I mean, I may be sending it the wrong way, but Fish, like, what do you think about Bobo? When you say love-hate, like, what's your intake on Bobo?
I have a personal experience with him. Me and Grant went to a game, the Georgia-Florida game when it was in Athens. We rode up there and stayed with his brother because his brother was actually attending UGA and they had a house up there. It was awesome. But we went and met my parents at the hotel my parents were staying in. And after we hung out with my parents for a little bit, we hopped in the elevator and we were riding it back down. And Bobo and one of his friends were on the elevator with us. That was the year he got hurt up against Tennessee, I think it was. Or that was Robert Edwards who got hurt against Tennessee. Anyway, that was the year that he had a season-ending injury. He was on crutches. That man was lit up. He was heavily not in his right mind. So, like that was a good, he was nice though. It was a good experience. It wasn't a bad experience, but that was just a funny little story. But, he was inconsistent as a player. He was, his best game was when we upset Florida in 1997.
No, his best
beat
game
them 37-17.
His best game was the Outback Bowl his senior year. We lit up Wisconsin when they had.
He played?
He was a quarterback.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't know if you're talking about his best games playing or best games like calling.
Oh no, yeah, I was talking about playing.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great game that day too. I mean, we just tore Wisconsin apart, and that was the year they had Dane, that running back Dane.
Yeah, Ron Dane.
Ron Dane.
And they were supposed to kill us, and we just destroyed them.
Yeah. Bobby said I'm a Bobo fan. I agree with this. His play calling only gets vanilla when the O-line isn't blocking or the receivers aren't catching the ball. Yeah, he doesn't have confidence. I mean, that's kind of how Carson doesn't have confidence. And I think that's where our fan base, including me, like, I'm not going to cower it out. That's where our fan base sometimes looks at Bobo and goes like, I mean, at the end of the day, it is his job to put us in situations, but that are going to help us win. But when you're starting to just take your play sheet and just drawing from a hat what may work, I think that's more of a gamble than going, all right, maybe this could work right here. If it does work, we're not going to get a lot from it, but at least we're not going to turn the ball over. At least we're not going to be 3 and out. So it's hard because there's not
that
big
second
play
half against Tennessee should have given people more faith in him because he called a masterful half.
I think he caught. I mean, I think he caught. I mean, I know it was UMass, but when you look, the good thing we wanted to see this last week. He didn't change philosophy. We were very open. We ran the ball much better, obviously because it's UMass. But the tight ends were thrown to. We hit some deep shots to Aaron. We hit some deep shots to very nice over the shoulder throw to Dom. I mean, we looked. I know we're throwing against. I mean, probably our second string defense gives us a better look. Maybe our scout team defense gives us a better look during the week. But we did what we wanted to. The play calling was still spot on. It was still Tennessee. So whatever he's dialed up and dialed into, you guys think he made a call, Monken? I mentioned Monken might be involved with that. And I mean, maybe it's not Monken, but you think maybe he dialed into a little what was going on, kind of outside of his realm of comfort.
He's got Monken's playbook,
Yeah.
And he's got all the film. I mean, he can go back and look at the film. So, I mean, if you watch Austin Brooks talks about the way that he attacks things when we're getting the blocking and that, and he's making the right calls. He's going for the grass. When the defense lines up and you see some green over there, that's where he's going for. He's striking, and it's just a matter of execution, and when it looks good, it looks good. But when we don't get the execution, it's all Bobo's fault. It doesn't have a damn thing to do with the lineman that flops over because he's too far over his toes and
Right.
hits nothing but grass.
Right.
That's Bobo's
I
fault,
agree.
right? I mean,
It's not, and I've been victim to it. I thought the Ole Miss game. I mean, I called Bobo out the Ole Miss game, but I think my frustration is the fact that Carson was getting such a hard shake on these interceptions, and I thought he did. I go back at the Ole Miss game, and I still look and I go, if we held Jackson Dart to under 250 yards passing, like we should have won that game. However, I just don't think there was a lot of things in our favor there. The defense wasn't. We did some things on defense that was suspect. They got momentum. There was a lot of things we could ponder that game all day long, but we're past it. We're in a better spot than Ole Miss is, and that's where we want to be. We're in the SEC championship, but before that, we're going to fight it out against Georgia Tech. It's going to be fun, man. I hope you gentlemen have an incredible Thanksgiving. We get to eat some turkey and then get rested up for an early week Friday night game, and then we get to see all this go down. Hopefully, we can get that win Friday night, and then I kind of like getting the win and then watching the dominoes fall on Saturday night. So maybe we get that win Friday night and watch all these dominoes fall on Saturday. And
that'd be spectacular.
That'd be great. That'd be really great. Well, guys, happy Thanksgiving. If you guys haven't already done so, make sure you go follow, like YouTube, Dogs Down South, Facebook. 472 views on TikTok tonight. Thank you for everybody who viewed on TikTok and asked questions. Definitely growing that platform over there. And we are 24 hours later on Apple Podcasts, so make sure you catch us over there on your ride into work this week as you're counting the days down to cook that turkey. So, boys, hopefully we are sitting here next week with a win over Tech and talking about maybe our opponent for the SEC championship. But Bobby, thanks for joining, man. Have a happy Thanksgiving, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. You guys have a great week. Can't wait till the weekend. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.